Vice President Maybelline was making the rounds, attempting to defend his boss and the chairman of the FCC with a new fairy tale even a 5-year-old wouldn't believe.
Celebrities are rallying to his cause, saying this is a First Amendment assault being carried out by the FCC, Brendan Carr, and by the President of the United States himself. And to that, you say?
Well, there are two things. First of all, I'd like them to tell me exactly what Brendan Carr did to have Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air, because number one, he is currently on the air, and to the extent that he isn't in certain stations, it's because he's not funny and because his ratings aren't very good.
I have some good news for you, J-Dog. We're back on all the stations.
J.D. Vance spent days reacting after Jimmy Kimmel took another shot at him on live TV. Because few things seem to frustrate politicians more than jokes that connect with people. Kimmel didn't stop at making fun of Vance's appearance. Instead, he walked viewers through Vance's public record, the false claims he promoted, and a dramatic shift from being one of Donald Trump's outspoken critics to becoming one of his strongest supporters. It was that contrast that became the heart of the joke, and it quickly fueled even more debate online. If you've been following this story from the beginning, you already know why the exchange got so much attention. And if you're just catching up, you're about to see how this back and forth turned into one of the most talked about late night moments.
A lot of pressure on J.D. Vance tonight. J.D. Vance hasn't been under a microscope like this since his wife asked him why the couch was so sticky. But Trump had good advice. He told him, just have fun. And you know what? It seems like he did.
I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are.
That's how you get the single cat ladies back on your side.
To understand why the criticism grew so intense, you have to go back to Springfield, Ohio, where J.D. Vance amplified one of the most widely disputed rumors of the election cycle. The claim alleged that Haitian migrants were killing and eating people's pets, even though local officials, reporters on the ground, and many Springfield residents said there was no evidence to support it. Even after those public denials, Vance continued drawing attention to the story. Critics argued that in today's attention-driven political environment, dramatic and alarming claims spread much faster than careful facts, and that controversy often generates more attention than corrections ever do.
Vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance is now pushing a bizarre conspiracy theory that is taking the right by storm. Tonight, CNN's Tom Foreman has fact-checked this claim about Haitian immigrants abducting and eating pets in Springfield, Ohio. Tom?
Trump's own running mate, J.D. Vance, is the main source of this nonsense. He's been talking about this in speeches. He's been posting about this as much as he can. The city of Springfield, in his state, Ohio, says there have been no credible reports of Haitians eating pets. But J.D. Vance, who wants to be vice president of the United States, keeps bringing it up.
When CNN asked Vance's office why he is pushing such a blatant lie, they said Senator Vance has received a high volume of calls and emails over the past several weeks from concerned citizens in Springfield. His tweet is based on what he is hearing from them.
Oh, he's getting calls. I didn't know he was getting calls. Now it makes sense. I guess all you have to do to get J.D. Vance to start spreading crazy things around is make calls.
Kimmel broke the rumor down the way strong satire often does. He walked viewers through where the claim came from, explained how it spread, and then turned his attention to J.D. Vance, criticizing him for continuing to amplify it as though he had uncovered some major breakthrough. One of Kimmel's jokes summed up his point perfectly, comparing the situation to someone setting their own backyard on fire and then running around panicking about the heat. The audience laughed, but the message behind the joke was clear. If you watched that segment, let me know what you thought. Do you believe Vance was simply careless and misinformed? Or do you think he knowingly kept the story alive because controversy brings attention and political momentum?
First of all, Kimmel was taken off the air because he had low ratings, because the late-night talk show host model was not doing particularly well, and let's be honest, because he had become so politically unhinged that I think he wasn't particularly funny. Now, the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, put out a couple of tweets, but the government took no action. We did literally nothing to try to take Jimmy Kimmel off the air. We believe in free speech. We also believe in the right of a television station or a network to cancel somebody because of low ratings. And I think it's a little bit rich. The second point I make, Rashad, is it's a little bit rich for people to say that somehow we're engaged in censorship when literally every day, including yesterday, we found out that Google and YouTube were censoring information at the height of COVID at the direction of the Biden administration. So if we're looking for real sources of the government driving censorship, we should be looking at the policies of the Biden administration. We absolutely reject censorship in the Trump administration. We don't want to prevent anybody from speaking their mind, but if a TV station wants to cancel a guy because he's not funny, that's their business.
What makes this story so interesting is that many people see it as part of a much bigger pattern that goes back years. There was a time when J.D. Vance openly criticized Trumpism and spoke at length about what he believed was wrong with it. He even described Trump as cultural heroin, arguing that it could make people feel good in the moment while ultimately causing long-term harm. That was during the period when Vance was promoting his best-selling book, appearing on speaking tours, and building a reputation as a thoughtful conservative voice. Then, what felt to many like almost overnight, everything changed. His public stance shifted dramatically, and the contrast between those earlier comments and his later support for Trump became one of the biggest talking points surrounding his political transformation.
And so one of the takeaways is not just that the Republican Party base is somehow fundamentally flawed in a way that's unique in American political history, it's that Trump is a really bad candidate, and frankly, I think a really bad person.
Said, I'm a never Trump guy, never liked him. Terrible candidate, idiot if you voted for him, might be America's Hitler, might be a cynical a-hole, cultural heroine, noxious and reprehensible.
Look, I was wrong about Donald Trump. I didn't think he was going to be a good president, Brett. He was a great president.
I didn't know you meant that, Donald Trump.
The criticism faded, and a very different message took its place. Before long, J.D. Vance was appearing on television, explaining why the same person he had once strongly criticized was now someone he believed was essential. Jimmy Kimmel has returned to that dramatic shift again and again because, from a comedy standpoint, the contrast almost speaks for itself. He doesn't have to invent a punchline. He simply plays older clips of Vance criticizing Trump alongside newer clips of Vance defending and praising him, then lets the audience connect the dots. That's where the humor lands. When your own past statements directly contradict what you're saying today, the conversation stops being about messaging and starts becoming a question of credibility. And that's exactly the point Kimmel keeps bringing back to the spotlight.
I'm going to interrupt your bull. Go on.
There's something else that's important here, Laura, which is that these broadcast companies, ABC, NBC, CBS, they enjoy the public airwaves because they serve the public interest. So I actually think that we should be having a conversation about whether these companies are serving the public interest. That's actually totally separate from the Jimmy Kimmel issue because nothing happened to him. He's currently on the air, and to the extent that he's not, it's because advertisers don't like him because his ratings aren't very good.
My ratings aren't very good. Last time I checked, your ratings were somewhere between a hair in your salad and chlamydia. In 3.5 years, I'm not the one who's going to be doing mascara tutorials on YouTube. How did we wind up with a president and a vice president who wear more makeup than Kylie Jenner and Lady Gaga combined?
The same questions about credibility also came up whenever J.D. Vance leaned into his familiar culture war arguments. One of the most talked about examples was his comment about childless cat ladies, built around the idea that people without children care less about the country's future. Jimmy Kimmel pushed back on that argument with his usual style of humor, pointing out that issues like health care, child tax credits, and paid family leave all directly affect children and families. Then he delivered the broader point behind the joke, arguing that America isn't a mommy blog, but a constitutional democracy, where a person's value as a citizen isn't measured by whether they have children or by what's written on a birth certificate. The audience laughed, but the joke also challenged the idea that civic responsibility depends on parenthood rather than participation in public life.
Tylenol. It's been overwhelming. I've heard from a lot of people over the last 6 days. I've heard from all the people in the world over the last 6 days. Everyone I have ever met has reached out 10 or 11 times. Weird characters from my past are the guy who fired me from my first radio job in Seattle, where we are not airing tonight, by the way. Sorry, Seattle. His name is Larry. In 1989, Larry tried to force me to do a bit called Jokes for Donuts, where people would call in with a joke and I would give them donuts. I refused to do it, and then I made a lot of fun of Larry for suggesting it, and eventually Larry fired me, and I had to move back in with my parents. But even he wrote in to cheer me up. Thank you, Larry, and I want to thank everyone who...
Kimmel's style is fast, sharp, and built around a simple idea. If a policy can stand on its own, it shouldn't need distractions about someone's personal life or family status. His point was that shifting the conversation away from real issues doesn't strengthen an argument, it only avoids it. Then he turned to another topic he frequently revisits: J.D. Vance's strong support for Donald Trump. Kimmel often highlights what he sees as contradictions by putting old and new clips side by side, and his joke that Vance keeps giving him fresh material. One moment he frequently references is the awkward endorsement event where Trump appeared to mix up Vance's name, creating an uncomfortable moment that quickly spread online. For Kimmel, scenes like that practically write the punchlines on their own.
There's some silver lining to the shutdown. According to their official website, during the shutdown, our friends at the FCC will cease their response to consumer complaint and inquiry phone lines, which I'm not a lawyer, but I think means we can now say whatever we want on TV, right?
How long you worked here?
A year.
Okay. Donut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which donut, though?
Just whatever makes sense. No pickles. Hold the pickles.
Oh, well, no, I can get that for you.
For most people, being called the wrong name by someone they admire would probably be an awkward moment. But to Kimmel, J.D. Vance seemed to treat it as just another opportunity to stay in Trump's good graces. That's why the joke landed so easily. Kimmel mocked the situation by asking who would trade their dignity for a shout-out, and then still smile after not even getting a shout-out. From that point on, every time Vance stepped in to defend Trump through another controversy, whether it involved awkward public moments, conspiracy claims, teleprompter mistakes, or attacks on companies, Kimmel had fresh material to work with. The pattern became familiar enough that each new headline felt like the next chapter in an ongoing late-night comedy routine, with the audience already knowing exactly how the story was likely to unfold.
All week to list all of them, but some that I do especially want to mention are my fellow late-night talk show hosts, my friend Stephen Colbert, who's found himself in this predicament, my friends Jon Stewart, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, John Oliver, Conan O'Brien, James Corden, Arsenio, Kathy, Wanda, Chelsea, even Jay reached out. Sometimes I wonder in what world is the vice president of the United States calling into a giant tooth podcast host to badmouth me and the people who watch this show.
There are these judges. Judge Boasberg comes to mind. Lots of judges who are trying to basically say the president can't exercise the powers of the presidency.
What seemed to frustrate Vance the most recently was Kimmel pushing back against the claim that his show had been sidelined because of poor ratings. Kimmel argued that the narrative simply didn't hold up, and according to commentary, it fell apart almost immediately. Instead, the discussion shifted toward what supporters described as a highly public dispute involving political pressure and concerns about censorship. When Kimmel returned to the air, his audience came back with him, drawing strong viewership on television and across online platforms. Rather than changing his approach, he leaned into the controversy, spoke openly about what had happened, and turned the attention surrounding the situation into another defining moment for his show.
Tradition of meddling where they shouldn't under many administrations, but it wasn't always like this. There was an FCC commissioner back in 2022 who worked under Joe Biden who was spot on. He wrote, "President Biden is right. Political satire is one of the oldest and most important forms of free speech. It challenges those in power while using humor to draw more people into the discussion. That's why people in influential positions have always targeted it for censorship." You know who wrote that? FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr are here. Our freedom to speak is what they admire most about this country. And that's something I'm embarrassed to say I took for granted until they pulled my friend Stephen off the air and tried to coerce the affiliates who run our show in the cities that you live in to take my show off the air. That's not legal. That's not American. That is un-American, and it is so dangerous.
The brilliance of Kimmel's roast lies in how he treats...
Kimmel argued that in America, the government shouldn't be deciding which jokes can or can't be told on television, while Vance tried to present the situation as nothing more than a free market at work. The public reaction seemed to tell a different story. The more critics insisted that nobody was watching Kimmel anymore, the more people appeared to tune in just to see what he would say next. It became one of those ironic moments where every attempt to dismiss the show only seemed to bring it more attention. Then the conversation returned to another familiar theme, the immigration debate and the kind of fear-based stories that often spread during political campaigns. Kimmel used that moment to argue that turning migrants into a catch-all source of fear distracts from real issues, delivering the point with a mix of humor and criticism that has become his trademark.
They call me creepy, cringy, awkward, that I give people something called the ick. They want you to think that I can't order a simple donut.
Was appointed chairman of the FCC by this former crusader for free speech.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple, just like dominoes, one by one. They'll go down.
That was also in 2022. And I wonder, how did that guy turn into this guy?
Who would you like to see replace Kimmel on late night?
A lot of people, anybody could replace him. Guy had no talent. Kimmel look, he was fired, he had no talent. He's a whack job, but he had no talent. And more importantly than talent, he had no, because a lot of people have no talent.
Kimmel's point was simple. If you're going to accuse a vulnerable community of something serious, you need solid evidence to back it up. Rumors, viral posts, or secondhand stories aren't enough. To make that case, he highlighted statements from local officials, independent fact checks, and straightforward reporting, walking viewers through the information instead of relying on emotion. That's where the satire landed. Rather than making the claim louder, he slowed it down and examined it piece by piece. Many viewers felt that the segment resembled a basic lesson in verifying information before accepting it as true. It also raised an uncomfortable question. Why does it sometimes take a comedian to remind people to check the facts before believing a sensational story? That's the place the conversation ended up, and for many, that was the most memorable part of the entire segment.
Talk to the chairman of the FCC.
You don't need to know my name, and I am the new chairman of the FCC.
You were appointed FCC chairman by Donald Trump?
Sir Trump, yes. I used to do some work for the man here and there in Atlantic City.
But did I just hear you on the phone threatening Whoopi Goldberg?
No, I would never threaten Miss Goldstein. I was just teaching her a lesson about consequences.
No, well, pardon me for saying so, maybe you're the wrong guy to talk to, but it seems like the FCC is using mob tactics to suppress free speech.
What did you just say?
My mother.
We are definitely not driving back to that. The brunt of the effect of the shutdown, it will be felt right here in New York. To punish you for disliking him, Trump is putting $18 billion worth of New York City infrastructure projects, like the new rail tunnels under the Hudson and the 2nd Avenue subway project, on hold to make sure the money isn't being used to support DEI. Apparently, they think trans stands for transportation over there, and they want to stop it. This is clearly an abuse of power to punish the city. And New York City infrastructure projects are not supposed to be delayed because Trump wants to strong-arm Democrats into cutting health care. They're supposed to be delayed because they're New York City infrastructure projects.
Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you believe late-night television has become one of the few places where misinformation gets broken down in a way that's easy for everyday people to understand? According to this commentary, J.D. Vance responded with a pattern that viewers had seen before. Rather than focusing on the substance of Kimmel's criticism, he argued that the issue was the tone of the jokes or that conservatives were being unfairly targeted. while continuing the same behavior that had sparked the criticism in the first place. When Kimmel challenged the Springfield rumor, Vance accused the media of bias. When Kimmel replayed Vance's earlier comments criticizing Trump alongside his more recent statements supporting him, Vance maintained that his current position had always been consistent. That contrast became another recurring theme in the ongoing back and forth between the two.
I mean, seriously, if that guy walked into your office and told you he was there to start making cuts.
I have friends who met a husband, a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, who met the best man at their wedding at Turning Points USA because it was an organization of patriots dedicated to making this country the very best country that it could be.
I don't agree with many of those people on most subjects. Some of the things they say even make me want to throw up. It takes courage for them to speak out against this administration, and they did, and they deserve credit for it, and thanks. For telling their followers that our government cannot be allowed to control what we do and do not say on television, and that we have to stand up to it. I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight, and the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusion.
It's almost like trying to win a spelling bee by claiming the dictionary is the problem instead of answering the question. While the debate kept going, Kimmel continued doing something many politicians find difficult to respond to, playing back their own words. That's the reason clips often carry more weight than insults. A sharp comment may be forgotten, but video of someone contradicting their past statements can keep resurfacing again and again. The bigger story, though, is how entertainment and politics have become so closely connected. Kimmel's monologues aren't just built around laughs. They're designed to walk viewers through public events using humor to keep people engaged. And when he says the information comes from public, trusted sources, his point is that he's relying on material that's already available for anyone to see, then using comedy to make people pay attention to it.
In some ways, you can't help but you kind of feel sympathy for J.D. Vance having to defend Donald Trump, who he himself openly denounced. It's kind of like being Diddy's defense attorney, you know? And I also have to say, I was a little bit worried about Tim Walz going into the debate. You know, I got an email from his wife today asking me for money. I hope they're okay. Here are the Walzes arriving in New York this morning. You can see he's extra fired up because he got a free ramekin of Chex Mix on the plane. It is nice to have a candidate who doesn't make you nervous walking down the stairs from the airplane.
Kimmel often tells viewers to look beyond social media posts and check local reporting, official statements, and other credible sources before accepting a claim as true. His argument is that facts are still available to anyone willing to look for them, even when public debate feels confusing. In his view, not everything deserves to be treated as just another opinion. Some claims are supported by evidence, others fall apart under scrutiny, and some are simply exaggerated or distorted to grab attention. That's the space Kimmel tries to target with his comedy, using humor to challenge claims he believes don't hold up while keeping the audience engaged. If you enjoy that kind of commentary, be sure to like the video, subscribe for more, and let me know in a comment about a claim you recently saw online that turned out to be false after you looked into reliable reporting. Sharing examples like that can help more people separate facts from misinformation.
Tim just said something that I agree with. I agree, and I actually think I agree with you. I actually agree with Tim Walz. I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said. Governor, I agree with you. I agree with that. And I think that Governor Walz and I actually probably agreed.
Well, Trump is not going to like that at all. You're in a lot of trouble, J.D.
Kimmel's message throughout these segments is that when a late-night host can simply play an old clip that contradicts a politician's latest speech, the issue isn't really the joke, it's the contradiction itself. The commentary argues that every time J.D. Vance responds with another attack instead of addressing those inconsistencies, he reinforces the image Kimmel has been presenting, a politician willing to say or amplify almost anything if it keeps public attention focused on him. The argument is that while that approach might generate headlines in the short term, it's a very different thing from offering a long-term vision for the country. If you enjoy breakdowns that combine public statements, documented examples, and a little humor, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. And if you found this one interesting, hit the like button and join the discussion below. Which moment stood out to you the most? The Springfield fact check, the side-by-side clips showing Vance's changing position on Trump, or the debate over the ratings narrative? There's no single right answer, and that's what makes the conversation worthwhile. Thanks for watching. Thanks for taking part. And thanks for being part of a community that believes checking the facts still matters.